22 seconds. Eric Swalwell asked the question and waited. How many of these 19 reclassified documents have Donald Trump's name on them? Kash Patel looked at his lawyers. His eyes flicked to them for a fraction of a second, then back. There was no sound. Patel's face went through 3 expressions in 2 seconds. Realization of something, calculation, and then that practiced mask. Congressman, I can neither confirm nor deny the specific matters of the classified review process. Swalwell answered quietly. He wasn't shouting, but that silence was stronger than shouting. Director Patel, in each of these 19 documents, Donald Trump's name appears. In each one. This was not a rehearsed performance. Swalwell had entered that chamber through a 6-week legal process, a federal court ruling, and a partially declassified FBI directive. Watch the full video, because those 22 seconds took this hearing to a place very different from an ordinary oversight session. But to understand why that silence felt so heavy, one needs to know how Swalwell got to that folder. Section 1. Who is Swalwell? Eric Swalwell, California congressman, former federal prosecutor, one of the lead managers of Trump's first impeachment. Swalwell did not request a public hearing to take a political position. The reason is this: asking a witness to answer in an environment where they cannot be taken out of context later, on camera and on record. That day, the request for an open session was hidden within routine administrative language, and Patel's team saw it as a standard political maneuver. But they were wrong. Chapter 2. A footnote. 6 weeks. To understand the trial, one must go back to February. 11 days after Patel was confirmed as FBI director, his office issued an internal directive to the Classification Review Board. This directive requested that documents related to Epstein be subjected to an expedited review. The specific scope was as follows: all materials referencing current and former government officials and their close associates. But the crucial point was that this directive was not public. Swalwell's legal team found it in a single footnote of a 47-page FBI legal brief, in a 7-line section. Most people would have missed it. The team did not miss it. They filed a separate request for an explanation. They were rejected. They appealed. They went to the federal court. They obtained a partial disclosure order. And they spent the next 6 weeks reconstructing what this directive actually produced. What it produced was a list. 31 documents were reviewed. 19 were reclassified. 19 documents had been cleared for public release under the previous administration's declassification process. And within 60 days of Patel taking office, all of them were reverted to restricted status. Section 3. Standard start. The hearing began in the afternoon. Senate Judiciary Committee standard oversight hearing. Patel came ready to play the game he knew. 3 lawyers, 2 assistants. That walk. Shoulders back, chin up. The first 45 minutes in these rooms he had walked through hundreds of times were as expected. Allowances, personnel consolidations, surveillance protocols. Patel answered every question with pre-prepared responses, addressing not the questions they wanted to ask, but the expected ones, consuming the time without them noticing. He was doing it perfectly. Then Swalwell took the microphone, and the room changed. If you want to follow these types of trial analyses and document processes, you can subscribe to our channel and keep notifications on. Let's continue. Chapter 4. The First Cut. Swalwell's voice was calm. It was almost friendly. Director Patel, I want to talk about a specific set of documents, he said. Patel nodded, the standard response ready. Of course, Congressman, I will do everything I can to assist the committee. There was a pause. It's not in my hands. Swalwell immediately caught this statement. I want the truth. Let's see if they are the same thing. This was the first cut. It was almost invisible. But what Swalwell did in that moment was this. He had drawn a line between aid and reality. In front of the camera, on the record, before a single document was opened. And he had invited Patel to step beyond that line. Patel stepped forward, and Swalwell knew it would happen. Section 5. Directive. Director Patel, I would like to ask about the classification review process initiated by your office in February, specifically the expedited review directive presented to the Classification Review Board on February 11th. Do you have any information regarding this directive? Patel didn't miss a beat. Senator, classification reviews are routine procedural processes conducted within the framework of the FBI's commitment to transparency, he said. That wasn't what I asked, came the response. Silence followed. Do you know this specific directive? Patel shifted slightly in his seat. You wouldn't notice if you weren't watching. I was informed about the general nature of our ongoing review processes. General nature. Swalwell didn't let that slide. General characteristic. He opened the folder, slowly, deliberately, with the manner of a prosecutor who knows that the cases inside have already proven themselves. According to this directive, the February review specifically targeted documents related to Epstein and referenced current and former government officials and their close associates, as partially revealed by a federal court ruling last month. He looked at Patel. This is not routine. This is targeted. Who determined the scope? It seems your message is empty. Could you please provide the text you'd like me to translate? Chapter 6. List. Patel tried to respond. The directive you referred to was part of a broader effort to ensure compliance with privacy protections for uncharged individuals. For any individual, regardless of their political connections. Which individuals exactly? Swalwell slowly repeated this statement. Any individual referenced in these materials. Swalwell shook his head once, and he pulled out the second document. At that point, the matter took on a different dimension. It was not a directive. It was a list. 31 documents were reviewed. 19 were reclassified. 19 documents had been cleared for public release under the previous declassification process. It was reverted to restricted status within 60 days after you took office. He removed the document. How many of these 19 documents mention Donald Trump's name? How many of these 19 documents mention Donald Trump's name? Chapter 7. 22. Seconds. A deep silence. This was not a gentle silence, the kind where 50 people held their breath at the same time. Patel's face went through 3 expressions in 2 seconds. A moment of realization, calculation, and then that pre-prepared, I'm in control, mask. Congressman, I can neither confirm nor deny the specifics of the classified review process. Doing so would potentially jeopardize each one. Swalwell's voice lowered, but he added more weight to his words. Director Patel, each of these 19 documents mentions Donald Trump. Each one. He let her sit down. He hung in the air for a few seconds. This is not a coincidence. This is a documented pattern within your own agency, and I want you to explain this to this committee and to every American watching right now. Chapter 8. The defense crumbled. Patel tried to regroup. It always works, but this time it was different. What Swalwell presented was not a politician's interpretation or a political framing. It was a verifiable pattern from FBI documents disclosed by a federal court order, the agency's own Declassification Review Board's declassification list, and a public disclosure timeline. Patel did not refute any of these. Instead, he fell back on procedure. Senator, in accordance with privacy protections, national security assessments, and established protocols, he's not answering any of these questions, Swalwell interrupted. As the FBI director, you can declassify these documents. You did it before when it served your own interests. Do it now. Show it to this committee. Patel looked at his lawyers. There was nothing. He reached for the glass of water. His hand was steady, but the glass trembled slightly. If you find this analysis useful, subscribe and keep notifications on. We will continue to analyze the developments of this process here. Chapter 9. Public Reaction. The trial technically continued. Other questions were asked. No one was paying attention. Within minutes, clips spread. Legal analysts began to debate the full scope of the partially disclosed directive and how the federal court ruling was obtained. 2 different streams of commentary have emerged on social media. The dichotomy between, this document pattern requires an explanation, and what do we really know beyond Swalwell's framing highlights the gravity of the issue. Chapter 10. Claim or reality. At this point, a critical distinction needs to be made. Verified. The directive presented by Swalwell was partially disclosed by a federal court order and entered into the trial record. 31 documents were reviewed, 19 were reclassified. This reclassification occurred within the first 60 days of Patel's directorship. Patel did not answer the question with a simple yes or no. Controversial or unverified. Swalwell's claim that the same name appears in all 19 documents is based on partially disclosed documents. It is unclear which sections of the disclosure have been shared with the public and which sections are still restricted. It has not been clarified in the legal process whether Patel made these decisions directly or authorized them. The full extent of the claim of the same name in each has not been independently verified. The technical point that legal analysts emphasized was this: the scope of the directive is defined as materials referring to current and former government officials, and this broad net could encompass multiple names. It was unclear whether Swalwell's claim of the same name in each came from a partial disclosure or independent sources. Chapter 11. The remaining 22 seconds. Swalwell didn't shout. He didn't accuse. He didn't perform for the camera. He brought documents obtained through a federal court order. He showed the numbers, the dates, and the pattern, and put Patel in a position where he had to respond. If he confirms the names, the question arises as to why they were reclassified. If he denies it, it contradicts the documents disclosed by the court, and if he doesn't respond, that silence is recorded. Patel chose the third option, remaining silent for 22 seconds and then resorting to procedural language. Those 22 seconds were recorded. The next steps are still uncertain. The timing of the requested additional explanations is unclear. The fate of the restricted status documents has not been determined, and legal proceedings are ongoing. But questions were asked. No answers were given. This division will not easily fall off the public agenda. If you have followed this analysis up to this point and want to keep track of such congressional oversight processes, subscribe to our channel and keep the notifications on. We will continue to analyze the full scope of Swalwell's partially disclosed documents here as it becomes clear and as the legal process unfolds. In the comments, I'm wondering, what should be the standards for using partially disclosed documents as evidence in congressional hearings? How should the balance between disclosure and public interest be established? See you in the next video.